Hello and welcome to another amazing documentary from ourtruehistory.co.uk. Why pyramids were built? Solved. Let's get straight to it. No one knows exactly when or why these were built. Mainstream claim the Egyptians built the Great Pyramid between 2589 and 2504 BCE. This is because of two things. First is the cartouche they found in a chamber above the king's chamber, which was graffiti that features the cartouche of Pharaoh Khufu, and thus they believe that was the date it was built. They also claim it was built within 20 years.
In 1837, Colonel Richard Howard Vyse and engineer John Shea Paring used gunpowder to access four previously sealed relieving chambers above the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid. Inside these chambers, named Wellington's, Nelson's, Lady Arbuthnot's, and Campbell's chamber, they found red ochre painted graffiti consisting of work gang markings, including multiple variants of the pharaoh's name: Khufu, Khnum Khuf, and Medjiddu, some enclosed in royal cartouches. These markings were copied by Vyse's assistant J.R. Hill and sent to Samuel Birch, keeper of antiquities at the British Museum and one of the few hieroglyph experts of the era, who authenticated them as genuine Old Kingdom script. The story goes that Howard Vyse faked the cartouche so he would outperform his rival. But let's look if any other pyramids also had graffiti like this, to make sure if it was a one-off. There are no credible other graffiti done at the time of construction on any other pyramid. Two self-styled amateur archaeologists from Germany, who filmed themselves scraping off pieces of Egypt's Great Pyramid in hopes of proving that the ancient wonder was built by people from the legendary city of Atlantis, are now facing possible criminal charges in their home country. During a trip to Egypt in April 2013, Dominique Görlitz and Stefan Erdmann, along with a German filmmaker, were granted access to parts of the Great Pyramid at Giza that are normally off-limits to the public. They smuggled their samples back to Germany with plans to produce a documentary.
Ben Radford, writing for Life Science, says, the group reportedly took several items from the pyramids, including samples of a cartouche, identifying inscription of the pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops. Görlitz and Erdmann, who are not archaeologists, but have instead been described as hobbyists, allegedly smuggled the artifacts out of the country in violation of strict antiquities laws, according to news reports. The Art newspaper writes, most scholars date this mark to the pyramid's construction in around 2500 BC, while alternative theorists, including the two German researchers, have long claimed the cartouche to be a fake, painted by its discoverer Colonel Howard Vyse in 1837 to help him secure further funding for his explorations. To prove their claims, Görlitz and Erdmann allegedly smuggled the pigment samples from Egypt to Dresden University for further study. By proving the modernity of the pigment, they hoped to raise the possibility that the Great Pyramid was constructed by a civilization much older than the ancient Egyptians. However, Vyse found the name Hor-Medjiddu, Khufu's Horus name, inside the pyramid. At the time, 1837, no Egyptologist on Earth knew that Hor-Medjiddu was a name for Khufu. It would have been impossible for Vyse to forge something that hadn't even been discovered or translated yet.
However, they didn't count on Our True History to debunk this. Horus, who apparently gave the name Hor-Medjiddu to Khufu, wasn't around. First, mainstream claim Horus was not real, so how the hell did Horus give it to Khufu? There is no evidence that the names are connected in that way. For example, in order to prove that Khufu also has the name Hor-Medjiddu from Horus, you would need hieroglyphics showing all three in the same hieroglyphics artwork. There is none, so it's people making up that the image refers to Khufu, who has the name Hor-Medjiddu from Horus.
Anyway, as you can see, the cartouche is now rendered useless without evidence. It's got 2.3 million blocks. Nile floods killed maybe 4 months a year, call it 120 days off, and nights weren't work time, so figure 12 hours of daylight max. That leaves us maybe 6,000 real working days. 2.3 million divided by 6,000. About 385 blocks a day. Now 12-hour shift. 385 blocks means one every roughly 2 minutes flat. And each block is not the same size, so there was no mould, and it was not limecrete poured in. We actually can see the quarry with the cut blocks. And mainstream lie about them being constructed as tombs for pharaohs. They were not. But that's not what this video is about. It's about why, not how. I'll do another video on how. Check my website in case it's already made when you watch this. Why build pyramids? There's over 1,000 pyramids worldwide, so we can rule out just the Egyptians making them. The Anunnaki made them, that's clear, but why? We need to look at the properties that pyramids have. The Great Pyramid's slope is about 51.5 degrees. They embody mathematical constants like pi and the golden ratio, phi approximately 1.618, in their dimensions, which some interpret as intentional sacred geometry. All the pyramids have either traces of quartz or larger amounts in the blocks. A notable peer-reviewed study from 2018, published in the Journal of Applied Physics, modelled the Great Pyramid's interaction with radio waves using theoretical physics and numerical simulations. Researchers found that, under specific resonance conditions, the pyramid can focus and concentrate electromagnetic energy. This occurs particularly with radio waves of wavelengths 200 to 600 meters. Energy concentrates in the internal chambers, for example, King's Chamber, and under the base. The structure exhibits multipole resonances, dipole and quadrupole moments, acting somewhat like a resonator or lens for these waves, scattering less and channeling more into certain areas. Interestingly, mainstream and stupid A, I claim that it's because of the building size that gives these effects, and not the pyramid shape. When I tried to find another not pyramid shape that produces something similar, there was none. Only pyramids.
If we are to believe the Moorhen translations of tablets in Columbia University, then here's what the tablets say about the date of the pyramids in Giza being built. This date is important. The translations explain that an ice shelf the size of America broke off Antarctica and slid into the ocean, causing the tsunami. The Sphinx was built then too. The Giza pyramids would have been built around 12,000 years ago, after the Great Flood, but mainstream date the flood as, well, they have many different dates. All of them are around 4,500 years ago or less. That's a difference of over 6,000 years. Mainstream get the dates from the Bible, the same Bible I have proved wrong over and over. But what evidence do I have for the Great Flood being around 12,000 years ago? Oxford University. This 2012 study from the University of Oxford and Aix-Marseille University uses coral samples from Tahiti to provide a precise timeline for a massive prehistoric mega flood and sea level rise. Key findings. The event. Roughly 14,600 years ago, global sea levels rose by approximately 14 meters, 46 feet, in a very short geological window. Timing. The researchers pinpointed the event to between 14,650 and 14,310 years ago. This coincides exactly with the Billing warming, a period where temperatures in the northern hemisphere spiked by up to 15 degrees Celsius in just a few decades. The cause. The study suggests this pulse of meltwater likely came from the collapse of massive ice sheets, with a significant portion originating from Antarctica. The sea level was rising at a rate 10 times faster than it is today. That's pretty good, matches the time frame. Remember, I said the pyramids were built after the flood around 12,000 years ago. Perfect. The Moorhen translations explain the Sphinx was built to show when the pyramids were built and by whom. The Sphinx body is a lion. The precession of the equinoxes takes approximately 25,772 years to complete one full cycle. Each zodiacal age lasts roughly 2,150 years, as the vernal equinox point moves backward through the constellations at about 1 degree every 72 years. So 12,000 years ago, 10,000 BCE, would indeed be the age of Leo, the period when the sun at the spring equinox appeared in front of the constellation Leo rather than Pisces, where it is now, or Aries, where it was during the early Common Era. Now you know why it's a lion's body. The face was originally that of the designer, Ningish Zida, son of Enki.
To watch the rest and to find out with evidence why the pyramids were built, visit my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. You'll find thousands of documentaries with so many mysteries solved, such as who Lucifer was, who Yahweh was, hell was a place in South Africa, heaven means space, and so much more, all with evidence. Thank you.